Today we are speaking to Tissa Jayavira, the former president of the Federation Chambers of Commerce, the chairman, International Chamber of Commerce, a civil servant who has spent over 20 years with the government, and also now an entrepreneur and a management guru. Welcome to our talk show.
Thank you,
Ms. Jayavira. First, I would like to ask you, at the state of industries in the country, I mean, their productivity, the way we are going, are we efficient as per it should be? What is your view?
we are efficient because we are competitive in the world, especially take the garment industry, then there are various other industries that are export oriented and they are very competitive, their prices are reasonable, and then we sell in the international market. So we run according to world standards. So there is nothing to debate because it's run by the private sector, private management. They are mostly either listed companies or owner based. So they are run correctly and then they pay their workers also quite well. We have not had many labor disputes in the recent past because everybody is happy. But only thing is now if you take the global economy and the global lifestyles, our wages are now a bit lower than the global demand. So we have to look at it because the cost of living keeps on increasing, all the other things, the prices keep on increasing. So we have a static wage, say livable wage is working in the region of about 50,000 for a family. So unless both work, it's very difficult to survive. The transport cost is high, transport is inefficient. Then of course the schooling system, the government schooling system is very efficient, very good, but then they also lack the level of competence to compete in the international market. So we have to give those to move according to the global trend.
When you say of the efficiency of our industries, but we know certain ones have fallen by the wayside, and also what should be done to make the present industries more efficient, more paying, more profitable?
Yeah, it's the management style. Now even the management has to keep moving according to the global trends.
Right.
If you take industry, the cost of production keeps on coming down. Right? So you have to adjust yourself, go into automation, adopt new skills, shorter methods, but keep your efficiency high, reject rate low.
Yes.
So you have to go on a zero defect system.
Like the Japanese did.
Yeah, like the Japanese did 30 years ago.
30 years ago.
Right? That's how they beat the world. Then the Koreans copied it, they are doing it. Now the Chinese are copying it. Chinese products 5 years ago, 6 years ago were horrible. Same with Japan when they introduced the products. They were, I mean, when we were small, we used to say Japan Badu.
Japan Badu.
Then next came Korean Badu. But then now Japan and Korean is also equal. Then Taiwan, they are not competitive in the automotive world, but they are competitive in the IT industry. So all those come into play. So efficiency matters. So I don't say that we are inefficient. It is the state sector that is inefficient. Because if you take now, when I was involved in running industry, we compare the output per person, cost per person. Right? Then we calculate our margin. So if that is done in the state sector, now if you take the state sector, their cost per person is very high. Output per person is about 30 to 40%. Take the private sector, cost of employment versus product and the output, the difference is minimal. High profit and high motivation. And then there are motivational products like giving profit shares, better bonuses, productivity-based incentives, all those work in the private sector.
Right. No, that is good. Now, one thing you mentioned was automation. Will that not create a number of loss in jobs like some people grumble?
No, our people are, our education, we have a high literacy, okay, 98% rated by the government. But what is our education level? It's only about 40%. You look at the roads, if they are educated, the roads will be better managed and then we'll have faster movement of traffic. So it's the education level that counts, not the literacy level. So like that, people in this country are famous for criticizing and looking at the negative aspect. They don't look at the positive aspect. Right? Say, for example, one of the biggest economies to the country is the employment of people outside the country. That's number one income generator. But then they all look at housemaids. No. There might be 500,000 to 600,000 housemaids, but there might be 100,000 professionals. Their revenue to the country is 30, 40 times greater than the housemaids' transfer. We don't calculate that. We don't show that. Our professionals are highly respected all over the country. And then still now, I know a lot of people in my age, they are working overseas, they are coming here in retirement. This is paradise.
Definitely.
Right. So you have to look at that, the positive aspects. We don't talk of, I mean, these days, if you look at the politicians, tell me one politician who talks about positiveness. Nobody. They are not interested in the country. They are interested in their pocket and their position. If we don't vote for them, they have no position. They don't realize, right? They are our servants. Not that we are their servants. But our public opinion is they go and kneel in front of a politician, whereas in the past, the politician kneeled in front of the high officials. I have seen that happen. And my father was a top official. I have seen ministers remove their slippers outside his office and walking in. That's the respect they had. And he never got up from his seat.
That was a different time,
Yeah, that
in
was
another almost another country.
Yeah,
You know, yes, that is of course quite right. We had good days. What I would also like to know is now from here onwards, keeping in pace with the global trends, what new industries do you suggest that we could bring, which are high paying, good tech, use the educated people here?
Yeah, high-tech industry.
Right.
Right? Robotics.
Okay.
In fact, on Monday, a young guy who has started a robotic company came and met me. He has a lot of capacity, but then we are not used to robotics in this country, automation. So we are still in the older system, but the world is moving.
True.
Now there are certain organizations in the world, you just hold your phone onto the scanner and then walk in, buy the stuff from the shelf, walk out, you are billed automatically. Now here you buy something, you have to wait in line at the cashier longer than the amount of time
to buy the things.
To buy the thing, because we are still outdated. I am one of the first people to introduce barcode into this country.
Right.
That has not developed.
That's not now, but the counters use it.
Yeah, counters, but they are using an outdated system. Now, say you go to USA, some of the supermarkets, the item just slides over the scanner.
Right.
It identifies the product, it identifies the price, it identifies the weight.
Okay.
And then automatically it is shown on large screen on the computer. Now here still our girls
It's only the price.
Yeah, our girls have to hold it to the scanner, then it appears in the computer. They have to put in a bag. Right? So even the putting in the bag is almost automated. I mean, they think of improving productivity and cutting down the cost. That is cutting down the cost as well as time.
Time.
Time
Main
is
thing
precious.
is the time.
Right? Here, nobody bothered about time.
Time. Everything. Suggest some other industries if you would.
BPO.
Right.
Right. BPO has a lot of potential in this country. But
if you could elaborate. Right.
Our education system has ruined the BPO industry. I started a BPO some time ago.
Okay.
Couldn't find competent people to run that. Right? Because the English knowledge was atrocious. Indian English knowledge is far superior to our English knowledge.
Yes.
Those days when you look at Indian, normally everybody are people. Yeah. But now that you don't get that. Right? Their English
is far
100 times better than our people, and they read better, they understand better, because they think in English. Now in our country, now people think in Sinhala and then they answer in English. That's what happened in China some time ago. That's what happened in Japan some time ago. Now if you go for a discussion in a Japanese company, Japanese speaking managers come and meet you. Same way in a Chinese company, I mean big Chinese companies, there are no more interpreters. When I worked in China, I had to work through an interpreter. So shortest cut was find a girlfriend and then learn the Chinese.
Right. The language, the fastest way.
Fastest way.
Yeah. BPOs. And then someone suggested that we go into like high-tech garment products like special suits, with nanotechnology, things like that. What do you think?
Our garment industry is not that it is high-tech, but it is catering to the upper market.
Upper market, yes.
You take Bangladesh or you take any other countries in the world, they are in the low
The brands are the lower brands.
Lower level of garments.
Right.
So we can go to the upper end of the garments.
Okay.
Now I have a friend of mine also involved in now, they make 2,000 suits for the American market in Bangladesh.
Right.
Material is theirs, buttons are theirs, tailors are theirs, everything is theirs. 2,000 suits a day they export into USA.
Suits a day?
A day. Right, that's their manufacturing capacity. We don't have a company like that here in this country.
Yes, no one makes suits.
Now see, I was reading yesterday the new, at least the Bangladesh Prime Minister that has been reappointed, she's making a statement that in 2034, they want to make Bangladesh the 24th strongest economy of the world.
24th?
Yeah, where are we? Now at one time, a president of ours had a vision 2020 to make this country, from the third world jump to the first world. We are still in the second world. We haven't gone to the first world. Politicians are the cause of this. They don't want us to go to the first world. Then they lose their privileges. Who cares for a politician in the USA?
US, that's true.
Right? Who cares for a politician in England? They are there to do the legislation.
And the policy.
And the policy, not to control the people, not to be masters of the people. Till we change that attitude. I mean, you look at television these days, our donkeys want to be ministers. For what? Right? Now see, there is a politician for every 90,000 people in this country. 225 parliamentarians, 20 million people. So divide that. It's 88,000 people, there is a politician. For what? What do? They don't even know the 88,000 people. 88,000 people means how many families? You divide by that 4. Divide that by 4.
20,000 families.
Yeah, 20,000 families. So there is a politician for 20,000 families. You take India, 450 politicians for 1.5 billion.
Billion people.
Right, you take China, of course, they have like a 3,000 member Communist Party controlling Politburo.
Yeah.
But how many people are involved in the real politics? Just about 200. And their vision, right? Their vision is to beat USA. It's a long story.
Yeah.
Can't. Because USA is still powerful and their innovation, technology, now USA uses Israel technology. Israel is the most technologically developed country in the world. So they spend, they give money to USA, to Israel. Right. They develop it and they buy it all. Your mobile phone, your whatever that has is Israel technology.
Kindle,
the drones are Israel technology. Right now, medical advancement, Israel. Right, everything now. See, you use scanners and things like that for. No more operating bypass and things like that. It's not done by operation, it's done by technology.
Yes.
Right, so only recently I read an article that they were using technology on some operation in a hospital in Homagama. So those doctors are qualified, fortunately. I don't know how that equipment went there.
Right.
Right, but they did it. So it's available. Right, I was involved in automation of the accident service of the general hospital. Now, if X-ray is taken, the X-ray is transferred to the laptop of the doctor.
Yes.
No more. So, about 150 to 200,000 rupees a day is saved on the films.
Just on that, yes.
Right? Just on that. So, that kind of thing
has
to be done.
It took a long time to install that system, I know.
Yeah, I know it. We had a lot of, there
normal
are
things.
Normal things, right? Normal because everybody is a pandit in the government.
Yes.
But nobody is a worker.
True.
And they come up with various ideas, but it's operational. So like that, I mean, all the hospitals, that way we are more efficient than even British hospitals.
Yes, definitely. Better than British hospitals.
Better than British hospitals. They still use the old system. But they talk of technology. They are G7, right? We are not even in the G150.
Just to get another point on that, do you think this country has a future if we set up like research labs, R&D, because we have a lot of skilled people out there. Of course, there's always a talk to bring them here and do something, but to make it a base for research and development, do you think it?
Now we have the Institute of Nanotechnology.
Yes.
Right, lot of research and development has gone in there,
right.
But how much of the development that has been done by the Institute of Nanotechnology has been used in this country? Right, you have to pay for it. The government is not interested in paying for it. So it's a private sector that will pay and use that technology because they are used to it. They want it. And then we have people, I mean, not that we have bad people in public service, but then they don't know the recent trends of the world. They don't read. They watch some teledrama after work. I don't watch television. Idiotic. Right? You read.
True,
right? Then that's gaining of knowledge.
Yes. We will now go in for a small break.
Okay.
And we'll be back with you in a few minutes. Welcome back. Tisajavira, can you tell me something about the transport situation which has become the bane of this country?
Transport in this country is atrocious, right? Not that our systems are bad. As I told you, discipline on the road is bad. Right? Now, say for example, buses, three-wheelers, motorcycles in this country have their own
way on the road.
Rules and regulations, right? Now, say, a lot of people talk of law and order, right? Law as written, right? Order that is broken. So, when you talk on the subject law and order, people don't know that law is a, well, the British made the law. Still, we are following that law, right? And then during my father's time, they used to say that law is an ass, right? Because it's not flexible, it's written, right? But then law is broken. And who is the guardian of the law? Who is the guardian of the law?
The police.
Yes, the police. Right? So, what do? Not that our police is inefficient, but then how many of them know the real law? We have now high-end police personnel who have done law. So, you can talk to them, you can argue with them, they always come up with a point of law. But then how well is the law implemented? We get hundreds of policemen on the road in the evening, right, during rush hour, in the morning, standing. There are countries. Now, in Singapore, you don't see a single policeman on the road, right? I was in Myanmar recently, no policeman on the road. So, I asked my chaperone, why I don't see policemen? They said, we are still a military country. So, they don't break the law. You break the law, boom, out. Now, say, if you go to some of the Middle East countries, they don't have policemen on the road, right? All on camera.
Cameras.
You break the law, picture is taken, fine is mailed to you, you will pay the fine within 14 days, otherwise your license is withdrawn. So that kind of thing has to be there. Here, well...
When you ask them the normal excuse, a lot of these people say that there are too many vehicles on the road, so they can't go. I don't think that's a good answer.
We don't have enough.
We don't have enough.
Right? We don't have enough. That's why people are standing on the road. Efficient countries where there is efficient public transport system, there are no people standing on the road.
That's a very good point. You spoke of the public transport system. We have train service which is, I think, generally punctual, but the carriages are all bad. And the buses, again, something else. Why do you think it has been allowed to go down to that level, and how could this be improved?
As I told you earlier, state can never be good business.
Yes.
Right? It is private sector that is good business, but in the transport, the bus industry, it's a mudalali business.
Right.
There is no controlling authority. It's individual run. Maybe somebody owns 10 buses. They have their own law. Right? And the drivers are overworked. The fellows have to run 12 hours like that. And then their fatigue is there. So naturally, after work, they go for drugs. I have interviewed some of them. They go for drugs, otherwise they can't sleep. So things like that. So you should have control systems, right? Not for the government to control the public transport, but control systems so that they are monitored and run efficiently. Now see, for example, the SLTB now is running at a profit. Why are they running at a profit? Because they run at the same prices as the private sector. If the private sector bus mudalari can make a profit and run its bus, why can't the Central Transport Board do that? So now it's good, but still they are inefficient because they have 22 employees for a bus. The mudalari has only 2 or 3, one standby driver.
So it's more cost efficient.
Yeah, more cost efficient. They don't have administrator.
Yes, the mudalali makes all the decisions.
Mudalali makes all the decisions. So like that, the effective management must be introduced.
Now in India, now they've been having private buses applying the roads since the 60s, but they all stick to a common timetable. I have seen that.
Yes.
Right? Private or government buses,
Standard
they
time.
go, there is a timetable, everyone has to follow that timetable, there can't be two buses taking off at the same time. Now when you take the 60s there, now we are in 2019. Why is it not here? Why do you think?
It has been tried many times.
Okay.
Right? So, because of the political interference, because people start shouting. Now see, if you take recently, I thought I will go to bus, to Kandy by bus. Right? I went by bus. Bus starts every 15 minutes. But every 15 minutes, 24 hours of the day.
Okay.
Right? During peak hours, it must go every 5 minutes.
Yes.
So again, that intelligence doesn't happen.
Or rather they wait to pack it up.
No, now they don't wake. They don't
When it's full, they go.
No, 15 minutes.
Okay.
They are not allowed to go even 1 minute before. Whether it's packed or not packed,
They
have to
have
wait
to
for
go.
the 15 minutes.
minutes and then go.
And then go. So peak hours, just 5 minutes.
Yes.
It's those
Thinking is not there.
not there, not there. Now trains, you were talking about trains. We have a good train system, right? Carriages are old,
Yes.
dirty, unwashed, not maintained. They do run on time sometimes,
Yes.
right? But I have seen on certain occasions train, when the station master rings the bell, the driver gets down from the train, runs to the toilet and comes. So he's 1 minute or 2 minutes late, right?
Yes.
So like that. So that discipline is not
Yes.
there. But if say trains, specifically trains now, if you take London transport by GPS, on the bus stand, you get the bus number and how long it takes for the bus to come to that particular stand.
Right.
Right? In Japan, it's not digitalized yet, but there is a sign on the bus stop that this bus will come at this time.
Right.
Very precise. Now, if you take the train service in Japan, you don't need a watch.
It's that punctual.
If it goes at 9:1, it will definitely go at 9:1. You can't come running, or the engine driver's wife and children are coming, they can't stop and wait.
But we had these timetables on bus stand some time ago, a long time ago, and I remember the railway used to maintain that if a driver is late by 2 minutes in 3 stations, he has to actually give explanation to the GM.
Suda's time.
Yes.
Right? Not now.
Well, it went up to about the 60s, 70s, then it
So
quietly
if you
faded off
that's
after
why I
that.
said 60s, up to about 1960.
70s also we had it.
No, we lost all the controls and systems in the 1970s.
Yes.
Up to about 1960, this country was very well disciplined.
Yeah.
When nationalization took over, we lost the discipline. Right? So who is the cost? Right? Yesterday we celebrated the birthday also, that's the cost. Right? So we lost that. Now see, if you take a little bit of the history of the country, in 1948, or whenever we received independence, we were the greatest economy in this part of the world. Japan was ahead because US government helped them after the bomb. So all the money
went
from
in
USA went to Japan, so they were ahead of us. But we were ahead of everybody. Now everybody is ahead of us. We are still there. Why? Politics. Our politicians don't have a vision and they don't have a mission. Now see, in the private sector, every quarter, we discuss the vision and the mission. Right? If we are not achieved the mission according to the vision, we adjust the mission to keep to the vision. Right? We don't have. Politicians don't have.
In short, no targets.
But donkeys don't understand what a vision and mission is, other than a few educated politicians. And the rest don't.
Right. You're quite right there. Next worrying thing is, now with this high amount of borrowings the country has gone into, how will it affect us the next couple of years, and are they, I mean, the prices will go up, the industries will struggle, all those are, I mean, on the horizon, we can see it coming. What do you think will happen?
Other than for the G7 countries,
yes,
right, every other country is borrowing.
Borrowing, yes.
Right, because without money in the pocket you can't work. Right, so you need to borrow. But then there is something called, I heard of LIBOR, London Interbank
Bank,
right, rate. So generally it's based on the borrowings are based on LIBOR.
Right.
You can borrow at LIBOR plus quarter. Right. I didn't study what the LIBOR was, but generally we watch. So there's a LIBOR. That's the base. And then now all, say, governments of the world take money from the bank.
Yes.
Right? And then lend to third world or second world or people who want to borrow. But the newly developed countries use money of the public, right, and lend at commercial rate. That's what has happened to this country. Now the Japanese are funding the railway, right? The monorail or whatever light rail is coming at 0.25% interest with a grace of 10 years. Right? All the borrowings from China don't have a grace, and they're coming at commercial rate. So that's the cause of this. I mean, we have been borrowing from about 1970. We have
been borrowing, yes. ADB also always based on borrowing.
Right. But it was like US said, IMF, they all give at reasonable rates.
Very low rates.
China is one country that gives at commercial rates. Now the Japan is back. We can borrow from Japan and pay off these loans. We'll be singing again. But without borrowing, you can't work.
Yes. No, borrowing is not the issue, but excessive borrowing, and if you can't pay back, then that's what's going to really hit.
Borrowing has to be there for development. The state has to get involved in state development. Right now, say for example, Singapore.
Yes.
Right? Singapore economy is controlled by the government, but they are all private companies where the Singapore government owns shares. It's managed as private organizations. Those guys don't manage correctly. The government doesn't lend them money. Right? They have to either close or borrow commercially. So
simple as that.
Yeah, simple as that. Now here, state organizations are being run by the government at a loss. Sri Lankan Airlines.
Yes.
Right? Why should it be run at a loss? Hand it to the private sector. There are efficient management. There are efficient
managers.
I mean, there was one time efficient manager was appointed as chairman, but we sold it to Emirates and he got fired. Otherwise, Sri Lankan would have been running at a profit. Take the railway. Now, railway is being run at a loss deliberately. And who pays for it? The entire public pays for the inefficiency of the government. The railway is keeping their prices low to serve the railway public. And say from a child born today, till you die, you are paying for that. People don't realize that. Politicians don't realize that. Ceylon Electricity Board, subsidized electricity. They are inefficient. Okay. But why subsidize? Make them profitable. Water Board. Not that they are inefficient. Water service is superb these days because all the pipelines are being redone.
Yes.
Water pressure is so high. Right? But it's running at a loss. Why? Because it's subsidized. Take the subsidies of this country. People will improve. And then our dole, what we call in other countries dole.
Dole, yes.
I mean, we keep on giving the dole. We should be reducing the number of people on the dole. We are increasing the number of people on the dole. So that kind of thing
should be rethought. No? Finally, briefly, if you could tell me, from what you say, to come out of this gracefully, if you may say so, what do you think we should do? I mean, direction-wise.
Efficient management.
Okay.
Private sector.
Yes.
Right. State sector all over the world is
failing
and they are corrupt.
Yes.
Right. London Transport, state, now privatized. You take USA, some certain parts of the railways are privatized now. Take airports, for example. Now, we start shouting about Mattala being given to private management. India, 5 airports are managed by the private sector. Owned by the government. Laws and regulations are given by the government. They have improved 100%. Efficiency, state, still the immigration is government, the customs is government, all that is government, but efficiently managed. So they are running at a profit and they are improving every day. What is the improvement that our airport has done? One day when I came, the lights were not working on top and we get so many tourists coming in. Right? So like that, now see, even in England, 5 airports have been privatized, 3 of them are run by Africans, by African entrepreneur. So why can't it be done in this country?
And so what you're talking of is efficient management is the basic
let the
requirement.
state be involved in development of the infrastructure, but
Right.
managing they can't manage.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Javira. It was a very interesting conversation we had with you. We will be with you again, bringing another worthy guest to this program soon.